Today it is time for a best-of-3 series of professional StarCraft 2, and what I've got for you is a Terran versus Zerg, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on the map the Jag. I'm just gonna leave it with the Jag Alley, okay? Here's the thing, I had to redo this intro like 17 times, and I got it wrong pretty much every single time. I'm never gonna be able to remember this map name, dude. Like, the map itself is great, but why? just why? Anyways, spawning here in the bottom left-hand corner, playing with the red Zerg drones from South Korea, we have one of my all-time favorite Terran players, and he goes by the name of ByuN. Recently returning to the game after his military service, he has already quickly climbed through the ranks once again. As of me making this video on Aligalek, he's currently considered to be the number 14 in the world. His opponent in the opposite corner, playing with the blue Zerg drones, likewise one of the highest ranked StarCraft 2 players on the planet. We have, of course, none other than Solar. Alrighty, so here we go. Now, okay, I was gonna say, he's gonna go for a little bit of barrack shenanigans. Why is there a second SCV right over there in the natural? I tongue-in-cheek mentioned in one of my previous casts that ByuN was single-handedly the reason why the Reaper ended up getting nerfed. Obviously, I mean, that's not entirely true. A lot of people were very good with the Reaper, but ByuN certainly was the best. It looks like, even though back then you had to go ahead and plant your barracks on the other side of the map, it looks like he has decided to just go for, like, I guess a triple barracks opener, and rather than, like, proxying them right over there, he just put them inside of his natural instead. The maps these days, compared to when ByuN was really, really good with that unit, they are a little bit smaller. The rush distance is certainly a little bit shorter, and even though this is a rather big map, because of those big speed-up circles, you can get across rather quickly, regardless of the size. So, we'll see how this ends up going down. Obviously, this is quite a bit safer than going ahead and, like, you know, planting them on the other side, because obviously if your opponent catches this, it's going to be a disaster, especially if you have to fly all these things back home. Regardless, on the other side of the map in the meantime, we have now Solar looking to already plant the third base. He is going for double queen, double sets of Zerglings as well, so he's gonna be okay here if he wants to defend this, but will he realize that this is going to be a multiple Reapers here very, very shortly? I'm excited for this, man. So ByuN is ridiculously good at microing units. Reminds me a lot of the way, for example, that Clem plays this game and Maru actually plays as well. Those are like the two highest ranked Terrans in the world, maybe with like TY, you know, but he's very, very good at like just microing stuff. So now obviously he sees that additional Reaper joining in the fray, so pretty sure his alarm bell should start going off. I mean, 2 Reapers usually is a sign that, you know, when there's smoke, there's fire, right? Like, you probably expect a whole bunch more to join here very shortly. He did decide to plant down the third base here regardless. It is not cancelled. I wonder if maybe he should go ahead and do so. Nexus, by the way, or not a Nexus, a command center right now coming up. Queen already running dangerously low, and Branda over there will get shot to death. A little bit sad. Ugh. Nice creep tumor positioning though. Is he gonna be able to get that one Reaper? Nope, not quite gonna happen. Now Reapers obviously regenerate health really quickly out of combat, and you can continuously deal damage with them quite comfortably. I mean, this is already a ridiculous amount of value. Queen trying to step forward, trying to pick that weakened Reaper instead, and there's the second Queen. Yep, there we go. Second Queen ends up going down as well. This is now going from bad to worse. This is what ByuN did back in the day, man. So they made the Reaper grenade a little bit, like, weaker, and just in general, they nerfed the Reaper a little bit. But it certainly is not a weak unit by any stretch of the imagination. Most of the time, we only see players making just one. Is he gonna get a Reaper kill? Oh my god. Ooh. Oh my god. He has lost nothing. Oh. This is exactly what it felt like back then, though. He would make these units seem so broken, and you'd wonder, like, oh my god, what are you even supposed to do? Link speed is done. Creep spread, though, certainly not that great. Another Queen ends up going down here. Without creep spread, you're not going to be able to get the wraparound on these units. Like, Reapers are ridiculously fast. Queen right there decides to plant down a tumor regardless, but of course, even though ByuN backed off for a little bit, he went back in just to pick that one off. And as soon as the creep spread, I mean, is covering this area, I can imagine at that point these Reapers are going to be shut down quite comfortably. But I mean, up to this point, they have basically had free reign. A couple of them obviously have gone down at this point, 6 in total. But while this is all going on, right, I mean, Reapers are 50 gas, 50 minerals. He's obviously stacking up a lot of minerals. He's been casually macroing behind this as well. If you look back real quick, right, while another Queen gets picked off, at home on the side of the Terran. He just simply is macroing up, going into the factory. Now, Zerglings attempting to get a run by there. Will they be able to get a wraparound? Couple of the Reapers do end up going down. Got a feeling, though, that Solar is in a lot of trouble here. He's currently 8 workers behind. It's quite a lot. And Terran obviously has the option to make both units and SCVs at the same time. Zerg in general doesn't really do that. He's desperately trying to squeeze out a couple of those additional drones. But, I mean, losing those queens really hurt. He has actually lost 69 Zerglings. Nice. And then also 6 queens in total. 6 queens is an absolutely ridiculous amount. Keeping those alive is so critical. Alright. Now, it looks like maybe we're going to be able to stabilize out of this, though. Solar has got a pretty sizable army. Solar also now is chasing a couple of those reinforcing Reapers down, so that at the very least alleviates a little bit of pressure on his side of the map, but that creep spread is still atrocious. Okay, so where do you go right now if you're the Zerg? Honestly, I feel like you have to go for some sort of all-in. The thing is, those barracks are in the wall, right? Normally you'd go for an all-in here, like a bailing bus maybe, but Reapers can obviously still throw grenades right here at a bunch of banelings if they were to appear. Apparently he's feeling so brave, he's even putting the tech lab and the additional add-ons over here at the front of this base. Double reactor, 1 tech lab goes down, 3rd command center gets planted here. Reactors on both the factory and then also that starport. Is he gonna go for Medivacs and Reapers? Is that a thing? I almost feel like that is rubbing salt in the wound. Oh my god. Now obviously all biological units can be healed up by Medivacs, right? So that includes Zerg units. So if you neuroparasite a Medivac, they will heal your Zerg units. But it also includes these Reapers. So even though these guys heal very quickly as it is, I guess you can get double micro, like double pickup micro then as well, together with Reaper micro at the same time. Oh my god, who needs Warp Prisms? Warp Prisms are overrated. I don't think he's actually going to be picking them up though. He's just using them for healing right now, keeping these units alive for even longer. That is so gross. Ay. Well, this is, I'm pretty sure, about as close to a perfect game as you can have as a Terran player. Like, hold up. So Terran has got 3 command centers done. He's happily transitioning towards Stimpack and +1 infantry weapons. And when it comes to resources lost, this reminds me of like the 2017 era. Ridiculous. Now, for those of you that are watching this that are Zerg players that are looking at this and they're thinking, oh my god, what are you even supposed to do against this kind of thing, right? If you're Zerg. I casted a series between Clem and Raynor not that long ago. I'll go ahead and post a link to that down below in the description of this video. Well, I mean, I don't want to spoil it too much, but at the very least it shows you the approach that Zerg players want to be going for. I think it's absolutely crucial to not lose those queens and to get that creep spread going, because as soon as you get the creep spread going, basically the Reapers have to go to the edge of the creep, right? That's kind of like the area where they maneuver. So if you never actually get to connect your bases and you never really get to push the creep farther out, you're in a lot of trouble. So losing those queens early on really, really hurt Solar there. So he tried to make the best of a bad situation. And, yeah, I think it wasn't meant to be. I really think he should not have started up that 3rd base, to be honest. I think rather than going for the 3rd base, you probably want to go 2 additional queens, although I'm not entirely sure. It's been a while since I played against that kind of style, man. As someone who likes to play Zerg quite a bit on the ladder, I haven't faced this strategy in a very long time. Every once in a while you see it, but it's so uncommon that you don't really think about it, you know, even if you lose. Like, if a strategy occurs every, I don't know, 1 in 100 games, right? Or even less in the case of a Reaper opener. You don't really worry too much about it because, you know, even though you might need a very specific approach, you're not really too bothered with losing that one game, right? If this is once again gonna become a very popular build though, I might have to look a little bit more into it about what exactly you're supposed to be doing, because I would not be surprised at all if ByuN decides to bring this strategy to tournaments as well. And I would not be surprised at all to see Zerg players respond to it in a bunch of different ways. Like, for example, you could go really quickly into Ravagers as well if you wanted to. I don't think Roaches are a very good option, but I'm pretty sure Ravagers could technically outrange it, right? I think. I'm not entirely sure. Anyways, here we go. Just a standard opener this time around from ByuN. Rather than going for a single Reaper this time around, he just went straight into that Marine. This is one of the things that we've seen him do in other matchups recently as well, or in other games rather, recently as well. I casted a series between him and actually Solar as well a couple of weeks ago. And in that series, I was talking about how he was so good with a Reaper and all that, and then I think he opened up with a Reaper just one time. Anyhow, This seems to be his bread and butter approach right now in Terran versus Zerg. Now, one thing I like about ByuN's playstyle is how relentless he is at just simply multi-pronged harassment and constant aggression all over the map. Basically, if you enjoy watching an aggressive Terran player with the skills to macro, you'll enjoy watching, you know, ByuN. Solar, on the other end, I mean, I don't want to say he's like a more quote-unquote boring Zerg player, but he is a little bit more conventional, right? Like, he plays very similarly to, for example, a Raynor, or for example, a Serral, or, you know, for example, a Dark. None of the top-level Zerg players have a super spicy style. I mean, obviously, someone like, for example, Bly, he plays a very aggressive approach and a lot of proxy hatcheries and all that. And we see those other top-level Zerg players do it every once in a while, but I mean, the guys at the tippity top, right? At the pinnacle of Zerg, they don't really play those kinds of builds. Pretty much ever. Now, this is kind of curious. Just 2 Hellions this time around here from Terran. Immediately switches over to a barracks there instead, and now starts producing a single Hellion out of a factory with a tech lab. Huh. I don't know if this is ByuN experimenting with different builds, but this is a little bit odd. The thing is, right, if you're a Zerg player, you kind of... You want to respond to how many Hellions you see. So if you see, for example, more than 8 Hellions, you know, okay, there's going to be less Marines. If you see only a handful of Hellions, like in this particular case, he's showing more though. Like normally you'd only expect 2 to 4. Right now it's a little bit odd. This is a good scout though by Solar. Yeah, he will see that there's multiple Marines right now. He only saw a handful. I love that little move there. Oh, you see that? Might be very tempting here. Now, he's still going to show it to this Overlord here, but it might be really tempting to show all of those Marines and just gun down the Zergling. That still made it look like a semi-normal opener here from ByuN. So he at the very least loaded a couple of those Marines inside of that medevac just to throw the opponent off just a bit. Now, what this does here is that it makes the Zerg player think, right? Like, what in the world is this Terran going for in this particular case? You don't really know too much. An Overlord ended up going down here. We've seen very little here as a Zerg player, right? We've seen very little inside of that main base. We don't know if there's like a tech lab or an armory or, you know, a fusion core or anything along those lines. It's kind of difficult. Anyhow, that does mean apparently that Solar is still feeling confident enough just to go for the double upgrades right away. He did go for 2 spores as well, repositioning them right now. Or at the very least the one over there, in case it's a benchy opener. Alright. So 3 Hellions. Bit of an odd number. I mean, you need 3 Hellions in order to one-shot drones. So it is, I guess, the perfect number. If you manage to, say, for example, force your opponent's attention inside of the main base, and then you get the Hellions over in at the 3rd. It is kind of interesting here. Anyways, 3rd CC coming up. Double siege tank already out at this point, and they're actually... Oh, loaded into a medevac. I think that this is actually not ByuN experimenting. I think this is ByuN going for a very lethal timing. Yeah. So he knows where the Overlords are located. He's been roaming this side of the map here for a while. He knows also that there's a little bit more vision on the right-hand side. So at this point, he's gonna be, I think, going for a drop inside of the main base, while simultaneously using those Hellions over at the 3rd base. Oh my god. Now, you do want to try and keep those alive for that one-shot thing. But here we go. The siege tanks are right now inside of that main. This is a cheeky build that I've not seen before. How in the world are you gonna break this without just throwing a lot of units at it? Hellions, though, are forced to go all the way back home, so that's a little bit sad there. I'm pretty sure he wants to go for some multi-pronged harassment, because that's what ByuN does every single time. Anyways, unless the Zerg decides to jump on this, that 3rd base, or sorry, that main base is dead. Hey, by the way, the Hellions. Oh, the Hellions are now over at the 3rd base. Looks like the Queens are gonna be able to shut most of this down. Now, while that main base, though, is being cleaned up... Oh, here go the Hellions! This is beautiful. Even if it doesn't deal that much damage in this particular game, I still love the idea. Really cool stuff. I mean, it's dealing a lot of damage. Remember when I said it didn't? Yeah, I take that back. 13 drones. Oh, look at the Queens. Oh, the Queens! Oh, ByuN! Oh. Okay. Alright. Alright. ByuN almost grabbing himself a couple more Queens there. Okay, big picture. Let's zoom out a little bit. Where are we at? Well, zooming out as far as the big picture goes, right? Hold that thought. A lot of Zerglings ended up streaming into the natural right here of the Terran player. Obviously, ByuN had already loaded his reinforcing units inside of medevacs as well, because, you know, ByuN. Looks like the 3rd base will land, though. Anyways, let's take up inventory here for just a sec. Was that a worthwhile push? I think it was. I mean, you do need to kill at least 10 drones or so, I would say, if you're gonna lose 2 siege tanks inside of the main base, right? So it's not like you can just throw away those units and then be fine to a counterattack. So you do need to deal with a significant amount of damage. It is a neat little approach, but I don't think it's the end of the world right here for Solar whatsoever. Now keep in mind, Solar did decide to go for the double Evo chambers quite early on, which actually puts him in a really good spot right now, because he's going to basically be like an upgrade, like maybe even upgrade and a half right now ahead of the opponent. One downside of going for the double Evo opener is that you're a little bit late on the bailing speed, but I don't really see that being very impactful in this particular game. Bailing speed is pretty much the most important upgrade that Zerg players can go for at Lair Tech. I mean, you want to finish it as quickly as possible, and obviously if you go for the Evo chambers on Hatchery Tech, you're going to finish that Bane speed upgrade rather late, but I don't think this is going to be the end of the world. Okay, now look at the units all over the map. He did this, what? Why is he producing Hellions now? Makes no sense, but I guess Hellbats are pretty good, huh? Alright, so it is going to be what seems to be a Hydra transition, and then I'm assuming into Lurkers a little bit later on, judging by the timing of that infestation pit. Now, this is lovely. Solar going in for a Zergling run-by here, grabs a couple of SCVs, slows down that production, and now forces this Terran player to pull back home. Other than this hit squad over here, which obviously is going to move forward as well. It is currently standing on creep though, and actually 9 SCVs go down. All of this will be cleaned up eventually. 3rd CC does now fly. Now, these moves over here are very worthwhile. Like, those are super efficient trades right there for the Terran player. Losing a couple of Marines at the exchange of lots of those other Zerg units. But, I mean, right now I think the game is kind of evened up. I really love the way that Solar is playing this. I think that Solar has been studying the style of Raynor, right? Like, this reminds me a lot of Raynor, going into that Hydra, then going into the Lurker, then now going into the Hive as well. And just, you know, the focus on defending with Ling Queen and Banelings, and then mostly going for Ling run-bys. It's basically the way that that Raynor likes to play at this point. And I do agree with Solar. Well, I think at the very least the Solar agrees with me on this one. I do think that Raynor has the strongest ZVT in the world right now. It makes sense to, you know, copy the player with the strongest ZVT. Anyhow, it's not a strategy, though, that is super easy to shut down. The thing is, if you're going Hydras rather than Mutas, this drop play harass can go on relentlessly. So that's exactly what we're seeing here. It's basically giving ByuN a free pass to do whatever drop harassment he wants to go for, because there's really not that much anti-air, right? Liberators are going in right now, main base and natural, drop over in the bottom right-hand corner, threatening with a main army here through the center of the map as well. This multitasking here now at 4 different fronts is very, very scary. And I don't know if you want to be giving ByuN this much room, you know? That's what I'm trying to get at. Like, this is so much damage right now that's being done. I mean, even if it's just talking about lost mining time, right? Looks like the medevac over here was cleaned up, so that's not ideal, but I mean, this is already so freaking much damage. Now, Hive is done, Lurker Den is done. A couple of Hydras are going to be able to morph into Lurkers here very, very shortly. Terran army, though, is still relentless. I feel like ByuN might be one of the worst opponents to play against right now, man. My god, this seems terrifying. Couple of random Widow Mines sprinkled all over the map. Good spot right there, though. Nicely done there by the Zerg. Alrighty, so now once the Zerg gets a couple of Lurkers and Hydras out, this should on paper get a little bit easier. Obviously, at this point, ByuN knows that Hive Tech is done. He's seen the Lurker Den, so yeah, he should know right now that Lurkers are going to be the name of the game. Interestingly enough, unless I missed it, no, there is no Ghost Academy yet. So I think that Terrans do want to switch into the Ghost Academy in these kind of scenarios. Because, I mean, Ghosts are very, very powerful against Lurkers. At least that seems to be the approach that most Terran players are taking right now. Maybe ByuN knows something different, I don't know. Look at this constant harassment. It's actually crazy. Alright, now the Lurkers are out, and that's gonna make defending these bases so much easier. Constant dropping from the main towards the low ground, to the high ground, to the low ground, to the high ground, to the low ground. Eventually these medevacs do get deflected. Now while this was all going on, Terran has been mostly stuck on 3 bases, and that's one big downside of playing this style here as Terran, right? If you want to be this aggressive, you need to make sure you have a lot of supply dedicated to your army, and it means, obviously, that you don't get too much eco here. So this 4th base is actually super, super late. I would love to see Solar maybe trying to see if he can head on over in that direction. I mean, it's probably going to become a planetary fortress here very soon. If you can leave some lurkers at home, you should be able to defend reasonably well. Is he paying attention? Of course he's paying attention. Picks up. Medevacs know of the positioning right there of the lurkers, so apparently he's now bypassing the bottom right-hand corner entirely and goes towards this 3rd base instead. Parasitic bomb! Yeah, this is too ambitious though. This is a little bit ambitious. At the same time, ooh, the lurkers actually in the bottom right-hand corner do get picked off. Looks like the medevacs over there will get picked off as well, or at the very least, the units are going to be forced to drop out of there. Here we go. The Marines do indeed drop out right now in the natural and are still getting a little bit of value. Medevacs in the meantime on the left-hand side are now returning back home. These, oh my god, these Marines were basically dead inside of those medevacs. Okay. They're still killing 7 drones before they go into the main base. Because, of course, they go into the main base. Like, this is obviously the way you want to play drop harass, right? Like, you want to constantly try and continuously get more value. By the way, he's not going into ghosts. He's just zoning with Marine Marauder Medivac Widow Mine. Any unit that starts with an M, basically. Marine Marauder Medivac Mine. Drilling Claws only just now starts researching, but base in the bottom right-hand corner is done. Those 2 these are the same medevacs that went from the bottom right-hand corner all the way to the 3rd, and then the natural, and then the main base, and now they're harassing over here. He's going back to the main. Like, this is... It's so obvious when you think about it. But, like, nobody seems to do it. Like, at some point, people just give up on their 2 Marines, right? This is so annoying to have to deal with. Constantly, those units are being a pain in the butt. Now, still, though, while this is going on, even though Zerg lost a lot of stuff during all of this, he actually does have a 5th base up, whereas Terran is stuck on only 4. I mean, stuck in the sense that he hasn't tried taking a 5th yet, because I don't think there's a lot of counterattacking for the... Look at these 2 bros! Are you kidding? Martin and Eric over there. Well, they're dead now, but they had a story to tell, man. If they, you know, could still tell stories. It's a little sad. I don't want to talk about it. Big reinforcing Terran army. Ooh, massive Widow Mine connection right over there. How many? 17 Zerglings is what that was. In the meantime, the creep has disappeared outside of the 3rd base. And I'm pretty sure this is ByuN tightening the noose, man. Now, this was what seems to be a pretty good fight right there for the Zerg player on the left-hand side of the map. But the economy is starting to dwindle, right? He's now forced to remake a Hydra den. Not a good scenario to be in. There's a lot more Lurkers coming up. Lurkers are supposed to be the way to defend this kind of stuff, but I guess the positioning on them is a little bit off, and he only went for a handful earlier on. Now he's got quite a few of them, so maybe he can stabilize from here, but this is still very, very, very scary. So it feels like ByuN is trying to win here with just relentless assault, right? Don't really give them any... Oh, God. Ooh. Don't really give them any time to, you know, repack themselves, right? Don't allow them to grab new bases. I do think ideally you want to switch into Ghosts if your opponent is in a more stable position. But ByuN apparently is feeling confident that he can just simply split his units against this Zerg army instead. Well, this is what happens though if you have a lot of Lurkers going up against you, right? They deal a lot of damage very quickly. Oh, he tried getting that Lurker over there. Now, the parasitic bombs are real neat as well. Parasitic bombs, super powerful. Nice positioning right there, but here's a hit squad of Terran units. They are a team with a mission. I think they're ready to take on that hatchery. Nicely done. Apparently, this is the opportunity that the Zerg player, though, is going to take to try and go for a counterattack. But, I mean, I'm looking right now at the Zerg eco. This is really not that good. He needs another base. This is really the first time that Solar has found a little bit of breathing room. And I say breathing room in the sense as if he's got, like, a lot of time here. He does have some reinforcing Lurkers, so I guess he's going to be able to deflect his army for now. But they're probably going to go into the main, right? Yeah, of course they are. He is now finally getting into a position right over here on the low ground on the Terran side of the map. Is he going to be able to get those Lurkers into a position where they can actually start harassing the income as well of the Terran, or maybe the production? Well, the Hive is gone, the Lurker Den is gone, so he's not going to be able to make any additional Lurkers here anytime soon until he, you know, goes back up towards that lair tech. Those Lurkers need to run on over, man. But I mean, as soon as you set those Lurkers up over here in the natural, I can guarantee you that these units are going to go over to this base. At the same time, though, the Lurkers over here and the Zerglings now are actually starting to deal some damage. Nicely done. This is what happens when you don't transition into towards that ghost army, right? Like, you can't really hold this very easily. Now, of course, this is so nasty. Ah. Someone jokingly said in the first video where I featured ByuN again that he's probably gonna get the medevac nerfed. And I was like, okay, yeah, maybe. But, he does make the medevac look pretty broken. Like, when you use it really well, it's really, really strong. I mean, this is Solar going for a desperation move, right? Like, it looks good, but Terran's just reinforcing over here, now adding on Liberators as well. Zerg doesn't have enough Hydras here to really abduct these Liberators anymore either, and as long as the Libs are alive, I think that this is gonna be fine. Well, Solar is gonna leapfrog, though. He is gonna try and move one of those Lurkers at once, or a couple Lurkers at once, and then get them into a better position once again. The thing is, if you look at what's left over here for the Zerg player, there's very little. The Terran army, once again, inside of that medevac, is gonna move on over to the third base that they killed earlier. It has been reacquired by the Zerg, but here come the Liberators from the planetary fortress to the natural of the Terran. And ByuN just absolutely smashed Solar. Now, that was awesome. Now, real quick, before I close out today's video, before starting recording today, I realized that after going into my analytics, only 46.2% of my viewers currently is subscribed to the channel. Yo, do me a favor. Can we get that a little bit closer to 50%? I mean, I would like it to be like 90%, but maybe that's me being greedy. Anyways, what are you doing, man? Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an awesome day. Don't forget to smile. And I'll see you once again in the next one.